All right, welcome back, class. We are going to go over chapter 6 again today. Let's review what we went over last time. I'm going to share my screen with you. Last time we went over the 3 methods for part writing when our root position is a fourth or a fifth apart. Does everybody understand what that means? When our root is a fourth or fifth apart. Silence. Okay. So that means the note in our bass is either going up a fourth, down a fifth, or up a fifth, down a fourth. From one chord to the next chord, that's how our bass is moving. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
So here in example 6-2, bass moves down a fifth, bass moves up a fifth. When this happens, you have 3 methods that are pretty safe in writing. And number 1 is to have a common tone and everything else move in stepwise motion. So here our common tone is G. Bass has already done its thing. It's moved by a fifth or a fourth. And then soprano moves up a step and tenor moves up a step. That is way number 1. Here it is again, common tone. Soprano moves down a step, alto moves down a step. Common tone, stepwise motion. Questions on way number 1? Friend in the chat, does that help? Did that answer your question? Excellent. All right. Whoa, come back to me. So way number 2 is similar motion by seconds or thirds. So in this method, all 3 upper parts have to move in the same direction and no more than a skip, no more than a third. And you follow. No, you don't. The book says the motion will be descending for a root movement of a perfect fifth down or a perfect fourth up, and ascending for a root movement of a perfect fifth up or a perfect fourth down. Again, we're not strictly following our part writing norms in the inner voices. The leading tone does not have to resolve to do or scale degree 1 if it's in the inner voice. If it's in the soprano, we still need to follow that norm. So example 6.3, we have the bass moving a perfect fourth up. So when we have a perfect fourth up, the motion will be descending, and that's what happens. Everything moves down either a step or a skip to the next chord's tones. Questions on that? All right, in the next example in B, we have a perfect fourth down. And according to that, when we go down a fourth, all of our motion up top should be ascending. Are you with me? So soprano moved up by skip, alto moved up by skip, tenor moved up by step. And in example 3 here, letter C, our bass note moves up a fourth, And when we move up a fourth, everything else should move down. Soprano down a skip, alto down a step, tenor down a skip. So similar motion by second or third is method number 2. Questions? Seeing none, hearing none. On we go. Way number 3. Way number 3 is the tertian leap, common tone, and stepwise motion. The book said this isn't as smooth as the other two, and it's useful for getting in between close and open position. So first of all, the bass does its thing. Here we move up a fourth. We have a common tone in the C. The third of this note, this chord, is the E, which then moves to the third of the new chord, which is A. And we have stepwise motion in the remaining voice. In B, our bass moves up a fifth. The third of this note is E, which goes to the third of the new chord, which is B. We have our common tone in the alto. And we have stepwise motion in the tenor. And in C, we move down a fifth. The third of this note is the B. It moves to the third of this note, which is the E. We have our common tone in the alto, and soprano moves by step. Questions on way number 3?
On B,
Yeah.
it's 6 intervals. Why do we call it 3 again?
What do you mean it's 6 intervals?
Between the G and the E.
Yeah. Ask me what your question is one more time.
You put 3.
I'm talking about this note specifically is the third of that chord. You're right. You're absolutely right. The distance is a sixth, but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the third of the chord. So the chord is C, E, and G.
Mm-hmm.
Way number 3 is talking about a tertian leap. So whatever the third of the chord is going to move to the new third of the new chord. And my new chord is GBD, my third being the B. So my E moves to my B.
I gotcha.
Cool. Question in the chat. No. The question in the chat was the alto won't always have the common tone. No, not necessarily. It did in these 3 examples, but it won't necessarily be always in the alto. Good question. Other questions? Are we doing all right with this so far? So we left off last time in the middle of some examples from self-test 6-3. I think we were on number 4 with this class, but I'm going to go back and do number 3. We are in the key of B flat. We have a 2 chord, which is our 2 chord is C, E flat, and G. And we're going to Bueller, F, A, C. Okay, so we do have a common tone. We could stay on our tenor, which would keep way number 1 and way number 3 an option. We have all of our chord tones, true. Of our second chord, they're all there. And what else do we do?
Go up to the F.
Go up to the F. So we had common tone, stepwise motion. We had stepwise motion in the soprano that the book gave us. We made stepwise motion in our alto, and we had common tone in the tenor. So that's way number
1.
Way number 1. Good. All right. The bass has moved down a fifth. What happens when the bass moves down a fifth? What are my notes for my new chord?
B flat.
B flat D F, right? So we could have a common tone of the F. Do you want to try that?
I suppose.
Since we have the D, yeah.
Okay, common tone of the F. We had stepwise motion here. Can we have stepwise motion here?
Can it carry?
No, because it's not a chord tone. This is a C, and we need a B flat D or an F.
Oh yeah, so have to go down.
If we step right up to a D, then we have all 4 chord tones in our chord. And it's way number 1. Works like a charm. With me? Okay, next we need a 4 chord in the key of B flat. A 4 chord, according to my charty chart, is E flat, G, B flat. True story. Do we have a common tone?
B flat.
We do. We have a common tone of a B flat. However, the book abandoned both B flats. They didn't retain either of those B flats. So we know that we cannot use way number 1 or way number 2 because that is the only common tone. So we know that we're going to be doing way number 2 right off the bat, which is similar motion by seconds or thirds. So my soprano went down to a G, down a third. So I've got a G. I've got E flat in the bass. I can go down a skip from D to B flat in the tenor. So all my tones are there. And I can move down by step in the alto to double my root. Easy? All right.
Why couldn't you do the other ones? Because you have a B flat?
Because our common tone between the 2 chords was a B flat, right? You with me there?
Yeah.
And the B flat that we had wasn't retained by the book. The book has it skip down to a G. And the B flat in the bass, the book had go up to the E flat. So any hope for common tone, the book didn't allow us to do.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, you bet. All right. Number 4, I want you to work this one out on your own. I want you to come up with an answer for all 3 chords, and I'm gonna draw stuff as we go. So we're in the key of E minor. The 5 of E minor is B, D, F sharp. And we're going back to E, G, B. There's no N in there. And then we're going to a 4 chord, which is A, C, E. And then we're going back to E, G, B. I'm noticing that we get common tones here and common tones here. Might be a clue for us. We have common tones between E and E and E, between chords 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. We have common tone B and B between 1 and 2.
I think wait, hang on.
So this is a this is an interesting exercise in that we might get totally different answers, and that's totally cool. Have I given you enough time?
I think for the first one, I would use way number 1.
And why is that?
I would make the B the common tone,
Okay.
so that we keep the B in the tenor there, and then since the soprano is already moving up, we can just move the F there to the G.
Good. Way number 1, common tone, stepwise motion. Good. Did anybody else do anything different than that?
No, that's what I got too.
All right, someone else. Give us your solution for chord number 2 to chord number 3.
Both E's are common.
Yes, but the book abandoned the one, so but we do keep the one in the soprano. You're right.
Oh, so then I got that one wrong. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know that you got it wrong because we
no.
can keep the common tone. You said
Okay.
you said way number 1 in the chat with me, so I think you're still right.
Oh, we could still go up stepwise in the
2 A.
A.
Yep. And
And then also to C.
you got it. Good job. Nailed it. Someone else between 2 and 3.
I'll be honest, I don't remember 3, the step 3.
Oh, the method of number 3.
Yeah.
Method number 3 is common tone, stepwise motion, and a tertian leap.
That's right.
It's not as smooth as the other ways. I think we're safe in saying that we're either going to go by 1 or 3 because we have the common tone, right?
Oh, with the G.
Well, can we do way number 1? Let's start there. We could move down to a G, right? And we could move down to a B, and life's easy. We move stepwise motion. We had our common tone. That works. Did anybody do way number 3?
No, I just guessed.
Is
What
way
would
number
3
3
be?
possible? Go ahead.
What would 3 be on there if you were to do 3?
Yeah,
What would
let's
that
try
look
it. So let's start with our tertian leap because that's the easiest. So our third in our first chord, which is a C, has to leap to our third of the next chord, which is G. And then everything else moves stepwise motion. Well, there's only one other voice because we have our common tone, tertian leap, and stepwise motion.
Okay, that I wrote that one down.
Okay, good. It works. So either way works, right? And the book in the back says, solutions to this and similar exercises throughout the book are sample solutions only. Many other correct solutions are possible. So I think as long as you're following one of those, you're going to be fine. So either answer is acceptable, and look what's really happening. We have a B here, and we have a B here, and we have a G here. All we did is interchange our B's and our G's. You with me?
Yeah.
Cool. Next example. We are in F major.
F is retained through each of these chords, actually.
You're saying F can be retained through each of these chords?
Yes.
So we have
Actually, not for 5, but 1, 2, and 1, 4, and 1.
F, A, C, B flat, D, F. Back to F, A, C. On to C, E, G. Okay. So you're saying you can stay on the F. You also have the C for the next two. So we could do way number 1 all the way, potentially. Right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, let's try it, see if it works. All right, so we have
Stepwise from the
common tone F and stepwise motion up to the B flat. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now you're saying keep the F.
Yep. Well, yeah.
And then you want to go
Down A. Wait, that would double the root, though. I mean, double the third here.
Yeah. What if we
So
step?
C.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing for you. You call that way number 1. The book calls that way number 3.
Why?
Well, let's look. The third of the 4 chord was D. True.
Yeah.
And the third of the new chord is A, so we have our tertian leap right there. And everything else moved by stepwise motion. Do you see it?
Okay, I guess I need to hear what a 1 would be, or how 1 is described again.
1 is described as common tone stepwise motion.
Yeah. Okay.
And we have our common tone here, but the book didn't let you do stepwise motion with the given soprano note. They did a tertian leap for you. They forced you to move into way number 3. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm.
Now, had the book not given you that A,
Could
You could've-
go back down to C.
you could have kept the, yeah, You could have gone back down to C in the soprano, and you could have gone to A in the tenor, and done away number 1. Good. All right. Chord 3 to 4.
Carry the common F.
Okay.
What is F common here?
Totally.
Really?
It's common. Nope, it's not.
Oh,
I was about to say I need to reevaluate my way of looking at
no
this.
F. The common tone is the C. You see, you've got the C's underlined there. But the book doesn't let us do it, right?
Go up to G.
Or could we do it? Could we do it in the tenor?
I don't know about tripling the root.
We can triple the root.
Okay, there's no rules here that are.
The norm says that if we leave out one voice, which voice does it have to be?
The third?
5th, right?
No. Oh wait, yeah, the third.
Can't be the third. Why can it not be the third?
Because without a third, you cannot determine if it's major or minor.
Correct. So we
Okay.
have to omit the
fifth.
fifth. So we can do away number 1 there. But I think there's a stronger case for something else.
Okay, what is 2 again?
2 is common motion by seconds or thirds. So our soprano moved up, so our alto has to move up to G.
And the bass moves down.
Can't move down, has to move in the same direction.
Oh, okay.
To E. Does that work?
2.
And then it would go back down to F. It's a 5-1 sort of cadence there.
What are you saying?
It sounds like it would resolve back down to 1,
Maybe.
basically.
What if we went to 6?
What type of cadence is that?
It's called a deceptive cadence.
Oh, right, yeah.
Cadences is coming. Stay tuned.
A Decepticon.
Those are the thing that I just did not pay attention to, so I only really know 1. But they're cool. I love cadences.
Yeah, good times, cadences. When do cadences show up? I forget. I want to say chapter 7, but it might not be till chapter 8. I'm pretty sure we get to them this chapter or this semester. All right, number 6. Actually, we don't get to cadences until next semester. It's chapter 10. Which I think is a little bit late, but oh well. Number 6 here, we've got a G, a B, and a D. We're going to a D, F sharp, A, back to G, B, D, on to C, E, G, going to G, B, D. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Common tone would be D.
It looks like on the first one, we'll have to use number 3, method number 3, because the third moves to the third on the soprano.
So our B moves to F sharp. So our common tone is going to be D here in the alto. That in combination, Ethan, that we're so close proximity-wise, we don't get a lot of choices.
That's true. They really want us to use 3.
And
Yeah, that goes to A.
we have our common tone, we have our tertian leap, and we have our stepwise motion. Good. All
So
right.
for the stepwise motion note in method 3, doesn't matter which direction. Does it have to match another one?
I don't believe it does.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Just wanted to make sure.
It seems that you almost have to go the opposite direction, doesn't it?
Yeah, in this case.
But looking at the examples that the book gave us, right? In the examples the book gives us, the stepwise motion is always in opposite direction to the tertian leap. Are you seeing that? Well, of course you're not seeing that because I'm sharing my screen. Unless you have a print book, you're not seeing that. But in example 6-4, if I go there real quick, there'll be a bunch of writing all over it. Here we go, at the very bottom of my screen. In example 6-4, the stepwise motion is always in opposite direction of the tertian leap, but it doesn't say that that has to be the case. Cool. All right, we are back.
Common D's.
We do have common Ds. They band in this D, so we could
2 stepwise.
do common D in the alto, right?
Yeah.
And then stepwise motion to the B.
Mhm.
Does that work?
Would that be number 2? Or be number 1?
That'd be way number 1. Is everybody all right with that? Okay, next. All right, our common tones of G have been abandoned, so we know that we have to go way number 2, unless you want to triple the root. True? Our G goes to E and our G goes to C, so they don't keep a common tone. So we can move via skip down to our G and our tenor, and down a step to our C, in alto. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then our common tone is a G again. And we end up on 2 Gs already, so if we kept our G, we'd be tripling our root. So let's try way number 2 again and see if it works. We need a B and a D. How do you want to move?
And can you go step down for the B?
If we go step down for the B, in the alto, you mean?
The alto, yeah.
That means we got to get to a D, which is more than a skip in our tenor.
Oh.
So that doesn't work. What if we go up to the D in the alto? And then we go up a skip in the tenor to the B. Does that work?
Yeah.
And that was way number 2. Has this helped?
Yep.
Has this been royally confusing? Are we doing all right?
Definitely have to go over this later.
Somewhat.
So, what we did today is remarkably similar to page 45 in your textbook and page 43 in your textbook. Page 43 and 45 in your textbook are basically the same thing. Except for, yeah, they're the exact same thing. So you should be through page 45, hopefully, this weekend for that. That will only leave you with 8 more pages in the workbook. Holy smokes. Okay, can I clear my screen? You all got your hashtag DocBTheory screenshot ready for Snapchat and Instagram? All right. On we go. We are now going to add an alto part to each example. Be careful to observe conventions concerning spacings, parallels, and doubling. Each triad should include at least a root and a third. All right, here we go. I'm going to type in my letters because I think it works awesome. GBD, going to CEG, going to GBD, going to CEG. Nope, messed up. Nobody even caught me. What? DF sharp A, going to GBD, going to CEG, going to GBD. And that concludes all of our notes for example 1. We do have common tones between every chord. But that doesn't mean we have to use them. What would you like to do? We have a common tone of D. Does that work?
Yeah.
Can we also go to the F sharp? Why does what I did first not work?
You need a third.
We need a third. Good, David. So we have to go to the F sharp, right? All right, we have a G and a B. We have a root in our third. Can we go to a G there? We've doubled our root. We don't have a fifth. Is that okay? I got a thumbs up from Ethan. All right, next. We've got a C and a C. What do we know we have to do?
Move the G down to E.
Good. Is that John?
No.
Who was that?
Skylar.
Skylar, way to go. We have to move there because why, Skylar?
Need a third.
Need a third. Good. And then where do you want to move? No one wants to move. No one wants to do anything.
You can
Can't
move
get
that
anything
E.
wrong.
You can
Say
move
again?
the E down to a D.
Good. That way we get all three of our triad notes, right? We have parallel sixths, but that's okay, right? Sixths are good. Nice job. All right, next example. We are in E flat. We are starting on our 4 chord. Sorry, 6 chord. A little dyslexia this morning. A 6 chord in the key of E flat is C, E flat, G. They did it all for us. Moving to a 2 chord, which is
F minor.
F, A flat, C. Moving to a 5 chord, which is moving back to a 1 chord. All right, do we have common tones?
Can I get a little off topic for a second?
Sure.
On our next test, like our final, can we have our cheat sheet or charty chart?
Sure, I don't care about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Your next test, however, what is on our next test? Our next test is going to have a lot of part writing error detective work. And
Do we know when this next test will happen?
not for a while. Yeah, there's some part writing on it. The next test has to happen after the next chapter, after chapter 7. Because there's questions on there about what chord goes to what chord, and that's what chapter 7's all about.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. All right. John says we've got a common tone of a C. However, we are kind of in 3-part writing land, so common tones don't help us as much in 3-part as they do in 4-part. Are you noticing that? I've got an F and an A, so I need to go where?
us up to the F.
We could do that. It's nice and easy. All right, we have a B flat, a D, and an F. We're missing our third. We have to have our third, so we got to go there, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got a root and a third. We could just go back to our root. Kind of boring. Oh, it's a fun 2-5-1 chord progression. 6-2-5-1. Okay. Next, we're in the key of D minor. We have DFA going to G, B flat, D going to DFA. Seems simple enough, right? All right, D, D, F has gone to G, G. They haven't given us our third, so we know we have to do that, right? That's right, Dr. B. Good choice. All right. Next, we got to go back to DFA. They've given us a D and an F. Where do you want to move to? You want to move back to the D?
It's either that or go down to the A.
If we move down to the A, we get all three chord tones, which is nice. Beautiful job. Way to add alto parts. So the adding of alto parts that we just did. Is remarkably similar to page 47 in your workbook. So let's get 40, 45 done and 47 done this weekend. I have a feeling we're going to do the same thing with 4-part next. Can I clear my screen? You got your screenshot done? If not, you're going to have to watch the video and screenshot it there.
Well, that'll give you more views.
Yep, that's what I'm after. Have you subscribed yet? You don't want to miss out on all the fun. All right.
Turn the notifications on.
That's right. Ring that bell. Okay. Hang on tight. We're doing something new. We are now talking about root position writing with roots a third or a sixth apart. So everything you've learned so far was dealing with roots a fourth or a fifth apart. Now we're dealing with roots in the bass that are a third or a sixth apart. They're saying that it's usually quite smooth because two triads will have two pitches in common. So in 4-part textures, two common tones and stepwise. Assuming that the first of the two root position triads has a doubled root, only one of the upper voices will need to move. The two upper voices that have tones in common will, with the second chord, remain stationary, whereas the remaining two voices move by step. The stepwise motion will be upward for roots a descending third apart, and downward for roots in an ascending third apart. Let's digest that again, shall we? Can I read that all again? So, we're assuming a doubled root. And if we get a doubled root in the first triad, then only one of the upper voices will need to move. Two upper voices have tones in common, will stay the same. Everything else moves by step. Stepwise motion goes up if the roots are descending a third, and they go down if they're ascending a third. So here we go. In example A, our root moves down a third. Between the two chords, we should have two common tones. We've got G, B, D, and we've got E, G, B. True story. We got a G and a B, and a G and a B. Two common tones. Check, no problem. All right, so if the bass does its thing, moving by a third, we have two common tones in the soprano and alto that stay there, and then all we got to do is move the tenor by step. And because the bass moved down a third, our motion is going to move up. Where in number 2, we have our two common tones. The bass moves up a third, which means the other voice needs to move down a step. Same chord, right? Not same key, G, B, D, but this time we go to B, D, F for our third chord. So we have two common tones, B and D, B and D. Questions on that? Did everybody see what just happened?
Kinda. Still trying to translate whatever got here.
Trying to translate what now?
What this is saying.
All right, let me clear my screen and I'm going to do it again. So what they're saying is if you move, remember we're still restricted to, we're totally restricted right now to root position triads. So we don't have anything other than root positions. So they're saying if you move your bass note down a third or up a third or down a sixth or up a sixth, you are going to have two common tones between chords. Are you with me there?
Yeah.
So in the examples they gave us, GBD goes to EGB, and GBD goes to BDF. So we moved by thirds. Our bass note moved by thirds, so we have two common tones. GB, GB, BD, BD. All right.
Okay.
So if our common tones stay where they, if the common tones stay on the same common tone for the next chord, your remaining third voice is going to move in the opposite direction of the bass by step. If the bass goes down, the other voice goes up by step. If the bass goes up, the other voice goes down by step. Everything else stays on the common tone. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Other questions? All right. Now we get to three-part texture. When we have three parts instead of 4 parts, you get more diverse writing situations. Some possibilities are illustrated in example 6-7. Especially tricky is the ascending root movement. In that case, you should not omit the 5th of the 2nd chord because the listener might assume that the music has progressed only from a root position triad to an inverted form of the same triad. Compare examples 6-7, C, D, and E, and F. Let me read that again. Compare example 6-7, C, and D with example 6-7, E, and F. So this is tricky. So we'll get there in a second. Let's look at A and B first. I'm going from a 1 chord to a 6 chord in the key of F. So I have FAC going to DFA. And we have 2 common tones. The F and the A and the F and the A. You with me? So the 1 and the 6 chord share 2 common tones, F and A in this situation where we move down by a third. In example B, same tones, same common tones. However, we have our 5th here, and that's not one of our common tones, so we do have to move. So we have FAC going to DFA. Now, what the book said, and this part is important, what the book said is if you ascend by a third in the bass, you cannot omit your 5th because we're not sure what chord you're playing. We don't have enough information. And this is where it gets tricky. So my 1 chord is FAC, and my 3 chord is ACE. So in this example, they were sure to not omit the 5th, which is the E. We have our E right there. And in example D, again, they're sure to not omit the 5th. Same notes, FAC, ACE. It sounds like this. So here's C. Here's D. So this is what they're saying, and I'll try to break it down a little bit here. Again, we have FAC, and if we go to the 3 chord, we have ACE. If we go to the 1 chord inverted, we have ACF. So what they're saying is, whoa. I wish that these lined up just a little bit better, but they don't. What they're saying is that the 1 chord and the 3 chord share the common notes of A and C. Everybody see that? If you leave out the fifth of the 3 chord, we're not sure what chord you are giving us because we only have 2 notes. We don't know if it's the 1 or the 3 because we're missing that 3rd note that tells us. We only have 2 chord tones, and when we only have 2 chord tones, we don't know if it's a major chord, which would be the 1 chord, or a minor chord, which would be the 3 chord. We don't have enough information. And so this occurs when we skip up in the bass. We skip up, and you leave out the 5th, this E. If you leave out the 5th, we don't know. Is that or that? We don't know. So that's just a tricky little thing we got to remember. If we leap up by a 3rd in the bass, you can't leave out the 5th of the chord, or we don't know.
Wait, can you say that again?
Yeah. If we're in 3-part writing, we have soprano, alto, bass. If you skip up in the bass, you can't omit your 5th. If you take that E out of the mix, we don't have enough information to tell us if it's a 3 chord or a 1 chord in first inversion, because we only have 2 pitches. We have an A, and a C. We need one more note to make this a triad. We either need an F to make it FAC, or we need an E to make it ACE. And so we're not sure what kind of a chord we have. We only have 2 notes, 2 different pitches. We have 3 notes, but we've doubled one. So I don't know if that's F major or A minor. I don't have enough information. So they're just telling you in 3-part writing, when you go a 3rd apart or a 6th apart, when you go a 3rd apart and you leap up a 3rd in the bass, you can't omit the 5th, or we don't have enough information to tell what kind of a chord it is. Cool? They did the same thing here. We leapt up a 3rd. They doubled the A with the A, and we don't know if we're major or minor. We don't know if it's a 3 chord or a 1/6 chord. We don't.
It's just me, but there's something really uncomfortable about not knowing what it is.
Yeah. It's like you're walking in the dark and you don't know what's going to hit you next.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween. All right. Can I clear my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations. We have made it to self-test 6-3. Woo woo. All right, here we are. We are adding alto and tenor parts to each exercise. Use the smoothest voice leading in each case. For roots, a 4th or 5th apart, state which method you have used. All right, so here we are in B flat. We've got a 6 chord, which is G, B flat, D. Going to FAC, going to C, E flat, G, going to F. Oh, I made a boo-boo. This should be E flat, G, B flat. Going to FAC. Are you with me?
Yes.
All right. Do we have a common tone between all of them? in the first one, we have 2 common tones. And in the next one,
E flat.
we've got 2 common tones, E flat and G. And in the last one, we only have 1 common tone. And it's a dead giveaway because they give us this big space here where they want us to tell what kind of method we use. We could also look at the bass. We moved by a third, we moved by a third, we moved by a fourth. Okay, so when we move by a third, we know that we have 2 common tones, and the other voice moves by stepwise motion. So here we have a B flat. Our other common tone is the G, so we can stay on the G. And then the bottom note is going to move by stepwise motion. If we move up a step, we're going to get our E flat. Are you with me? Okay, here we are. We are going to have our common notes are going to be E flat and G. Well, we can stay on our G. We can stay on our E flat. Does that work?
Yeah.
All right, and now we got to do one of our first 3 ways. Do we have a common tone? Yes, we have a common tone of a C, and our book stayed on it. So that's probably going to be way number 1, right? We can check. If it's going to be way number 3, we should have the E flat jumping to the A, do we? We could. If we did that, it'd be a rather large leap. We could do it that way. But remember, we know that the book said way number 3 is not as smooth as way number 1. So if we can do way number 1, let's do way number 1, which is common tone stepwise motion. So this tenor, E flat, if it's going to move by step to a chord tone, it's going to have to move up to F. Yeah? And if the G is going to move by step, it can move down to F or it can move up to A. We need our third, so we have to move up to A. And that was way number 1. Everybody see what we just did? Let me stop here and ask if there's questions. I have heard from probably 2 out of the 13 people that are in this room. So I want to make sure there's no questions, or if you need me to go over anything.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So right here in the last 2 beats of the first measure, obviously, the common, what's it called?
The common tone.
The common tone follows, like it stays, but
Right.
what if it doesn't? Like, what if it's a completely different note?
Then you have to see if that common tone happens in another voice. If that common tone could be carried over in another voice, you could still do way number 1 or way number 3. But if that common tone does not carry over in any voice, then you got to do way number 2, which is similar motion by seconds or thirds. Good question. Good question. Let's look at number 2. We're in F sharp minor. F sharp, A, C sharp. going to D, F sharp, A, going to B, D, F sharp, going to F sharp, A, C sharp. Okay, do we have any common tones?
Yes.
What are they?
F sharp A.
Good. Here they're going to be D, F sharp.
Yeah.
And here we're just going to have one common tone, which is going to be F sharp, F sharp. Okay.
I don't know if this is A, C sharp.
There's only one common tone between the last two, which is F sharp and F sharp.
Oh, okay.
And then we got a new example. Okay, so F sharp, A, F sharp, C sharp. Do we have a common tone? We have F sharp and A. So can we just stay on them? Does that work? Works for me. All right, next we have common tones of D and F sharp. We've stayed on the D in our soprano. We can stay on the F sharp in our alto. We could go up and double our root in the tenor. Nice and easy, right? All right, here we are. Our bass moves up a fifth, so we know we have to do either way number 1, way number 2, or way number 3. What is way number 1? Common tone, stepwise motion. Our common tone is the F sharp. Can we just stay on it? Stepwise motion, we need an F sharp, an A, a C sharp. I've got a C sharp, I've got an F sharp, I've got an F sharp, I need an A. Does that work? Easy, way number 1. All right, let's do the next one. We got to hustle. We've got GBD going to B, D, F sharp, going to EGB, going to A, C, E, going to D, F sharp, A, going to GBD. All right. 2 common tones. And then we only have 1 common tone, the B and the B, and 1 common tone, the E and the E, and 1 common tone, the A and the A, and 1 common tone, the D and the D. All right, so 2 common tones, the B and the D. The G can drop to F sharp. We got a doubled root. We got our 3rd. We got our 5th. We all right with that? Next, we have 1 common tone, which is the B and the B. Well, guess what? Neither of our voices kept that B. We leaped right out of it in the bass, and we skipped out of it in the soprano. So we're probably going to do way number 2 then. And that is similar motion by seconds or thirds. So we need to go down by step and down by skip. Does that work? All right, next we have 1 common tone, which is the E. We don't stay on it in the bass, but we could stay on it in the alto. But what do we have in the soprano? We have a leap in the soprano. And we leap from our third. Right?
So we need stepwise motion.
We need a common tone, stepwise motion. Yep, you're right. We could go from the B up to the C. Does that work? Nice job. All right. And then our common tone here is going to be the A. Well, we don't stay on it in the bass. So we're probably going to do way number 2, which says similar motion by seconds or thirds. So we leap down here. Well, we don't leap. We skip down. So we need a D. Do we do that? Our book did something completely different. And that requires us to go backwards. So maybe I'm going to stop right here. And we'll pick up on this one when we pick up next Monday. Is that all right? So if you can, for this weekend, get page 41 through 45 done. Or
Will
even
we submit them, Doc, or
no.
Okay. Okay.
Just keep on top of it because we still have 8 pages to go.
Okay.
All right. I will see you tomorrow at ear training.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. B. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.